Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Will Wisdom Interviews. I have a special guest today. All of our guests are special, but this one is too, extremely special. His name is
Dan Curley, and you don't forget it.
That's right, folks. Dan Curley's back on the show, and we know you're on the edge of your seats waiting for the latest on his latest book, because all of his books come out at like a printer printing papers and documents. Dan is a non-stop writing machine.
You got it. You said it before I said it.
He's blowing up with inspiration.
Yeah. And there's a lot of things to talk about, but first take things like he said to be serious, or that. But my sister, who we all know had a bad fall due to her small intestine, had surgery, and we're praying for speedy recovery so she can eat and drink. And her neck had a bone fracture in it, and Will and other friends prayed for her. And the next day we found that they did an examination on her neck and determined that she didn't need to have neck surgery. She just needed to wear a brace around her neck for 3 months. And so that was good. That shows that God hears our prayers, and that sometimes, if you ask any old friend or any old buddy to pray for you, sometimes those prayers come through and they come true. It seems like everything I've told Will to pray for me has come true, but with me, I guess mine just help. They just don't really they aren't as impactful.
No, that is, excuse me. I love the word impactful. We can talk about that later. But Dan, you're unusually wrong. Usually you're right on target. In this case, I have to say, Dan, your prayers are having an effect for, I think.
Like my neighbor, I said that, I believe in God a lot because I feel like in my life, He's given me breaks before, plenty of breaks and good things happening to me, and getting out of bad situations and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Just a lot of good stuff happened to me. When I think of God, like a lot of people, when they talk about God, they're saying, well, God does these good things, but what about the bad things He does? And I just tend to more think about the good things. And, He's done a lot of good things for me. In my sister's hospital bed, I guess my sister requested him, and he was saying Hail Marys and other prayers with Jane. I wasn't there for it. I wish I was there for it, and I could have done some silent prayer with him, or introduced myself to the priest, or given him more information about Jane so he would know more about her. Because she's in... What's he doing in there?
He was big?
Yeah, he was like a big guy, like a linebacker.
Wow.
He looked like he was athletic too, that priests come in all different shapes and sizes, like every person for every job.
Oh, Dan, maybe he was an angel.
I think so. It's possible.
Wow.
I mean, he came to see my sister. I did that one time in the hospital. I wanted to see a priest, and they said okay, and they never brought him, so I was disappointed.
Oh, I see, Dan.
But I'm glad they brought it to her, because she needed it.
Yeah, when I was at the institution of McLean Hospital for Geniuses, they one day some people came in and gave us Holy Communion. That was great.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It made me feel, like Jesus was saying, I'm with you even in this particularly exceptional place.
Yeah. Exceptional place.
So Dan and I were having a discussion, and we think it's in the interest of the mental health of our listeners and overall well-being. We want to, from now on, tell our listeners before the interview if the following interview is scripted or unscripted.
And what we just talked about was unscripted, because that joke was not written down about my dad making or talking.
Yes. None of this is in my notebook, Dan.
Yeah.
So I guess that segment was unscripted. So you guys can all write that down in your notebooks. And the rest of it is potentially, partly scripted, but it's always a little bit unscripted, right, Dan?
Yep, always. I think it reaches more people that way. You're talking straight. You're not talking off a script. You're talking, straight from the heart. And I think that's where, you got to hit people with, what we talk about, is important stuff. And I think it can inspire those with, mental health problems, and inspire the people who have regular good health but have a lot of problems. So
yeah. Some people are sick and other people are okay but also sick.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
I don't know what that means yet. Believe it or not, Dan and I, we're just ordinary, real guys. We put as Christopher Walken says, I put my pants on in the morning just like all the rest of you. The only difference is I make gold records. So, feel free to explore the space, guys. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan, let's get into the meat of the interview here. Let's talk about the Godzilla fan club. Can you tell us some details about what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to?
Yeah, when my knows, I've probably done hundreds or thousands of stories with her. But the Godzilla fan club was interesting because I have been a fan of Godzilla since I was 4 or 5 and watched them as a kid, and still watch them when I grew up. Still a true fan. I've gone to see at Brattle Theater, at Davis Square Theater. I've seen the original Japanese version of Godzilla, not the original cut, not the one that was the Americanized version. I came up with a lot of ideas. Like, one of my ideas is that she would have that Avery would be the group leader, and her parents would help her with the group and watch over things. So even though she was a leader and a genius, this was something she liked that, not typical geniuses would like or spend time on. Godzilla, it's strange, but there's always something about people that they like different things and have different personalities. And I found her character to be kind of tough as nails in the beginning. Sort of my character is the one that wants to get into the Godzilla fan club, and I have to answer questions from her, and she has to approve it. And she doesn't come across as the sweetest person to begin with, but over the time goes on, she does turn into a very sweet person. But everyone has fun in horror group. There's a 50-year-old guy who's in there. There's a 40-year-old divorced woman in there. There's people in their 30s, like me. At the time I was in my 30s. And I think there's a couple in their 20s, and there's only a few real young ones, yeah, children, because children are usually into Godzilla, because a lot of the Godzilla movies were made for kids for a while in the 70s, 60s, and 70s were made for little kids. And I think even the darker Godzillas, they had, little kids still watch them and like them. So, but I always went with, I was always a fan of watching the kit made for kids stuff, because I liked all the different monsters, and Godzilla, Rodan, Anchorus, Mega Godzilla. Mega Godzilla was a little traumatizing for a little kid to watch. Just one scene, but I read one mother didn't like that they put that scene in, and the scene was Godzilla was really, they had turned Mega Godzilla to look exactly like Godzilla, and he injures one of his buddies, and he injured him really bad, and the mother wrote in and said that that was traumatizing for her son to watch, to see that happen. But anyway, it's also, the Godzilla group ran for a long time, and I was doing it at the same time as I was doing the 1,000-page story, so I'd have something working on two great things at one time was good, because I could take a break from writing and then writing the book, and then write something else that's new and different. And I was not limited to what I could write in either story, but there was eventually going to be an end game. I knew where I was going for the end. I just didn't know when I was going to fill up the 1,000-page story with. But it was very good, and I was happy the way that turned out. And the mother was very happy when I gave her the book she received it, and I think she really appreciated that, and I'm sure that meant a lot to Avery. And but there was something about this short story series that really hit me in the heart, because I love having discussions about Godzilla movies. I love having people bringing in Godzilla memorabilia, Godzilla books, all sorts of stuff, and having Godzilla parties, watching their movies.
Oh, Dan, can you tell us more about the morning sessions?
Oh yeah, the morning sessions are basically it's a 2-hour group. You get a break at the hour. Both Avery's parents are there. The mother's there to make sure everyone gets plenty of snacks to have during break, and plenty of diet soda, or offer coffee. Probably offers coffee, muffins, donuts, that kind of stuff, because it's early morning. And like I said, her father runs security, because if somebody gets upset or there's an argument, there has to be somebody. Her father's a big dude like me, so he's able to stop that, and you might have to kick somebody out if they're attacking another group member about the movie, or not respecting anyone's opinions about the movie, or just not behaving. And so they talk about, one of the things I liked is when they shared their memorabilia, and I think they had their own. There's been episodes where it's been Christmas time, and it's been people's birthday, and during those times, it would be great, because people would give to that person Godzilla gifts. And one of the young kids there, that's about 5 or 6, he's fairly well off, and he has like almost all the Godzilla toys, all the rare ones. And for Christmas, he gave everyone in the group something very valuable. So it's a group that got along with a lot of people, and that were always everyone in that group had each other's back, and it worked. And sometimes you think it's not going to work having having people between 5 and 50 that they aren't going to connect, but they all just love talking about Godzilla, and they shared some stuff. It's been a long time since I finished it and wrote it, but there is personal relationships in the story. I just forget which characters go with which characters, and Avery quickly becomes best friends with a few of the group members, where she can call them when she needs support or when she's feeling down, and they can call her. So, and she's only 9 years old in this one, I think 9 or 10, something like that.
Avery is the leader of the group.
Yeah. And basically she's not just the leader of the group. Her parents help her with it. So, but she's like a genius, and like she goes to school, but she obviously is not going to have to worry about going to college to get a job, because she's so high functioning, such a high level IQ, that she could probably do whatever she wants. And I think initially she wants to be a nurse to help people who are sick. But like I said in the beginning, she kind of has a tough as nails approach, and she I think once she gets to learn some of the characters, some of the people going to the group, she becomes a lot nicer and sort of puts her guard down and opens up her heart, and lets people in, because she's obviously kind of hard for her to make new friends when she's so advanced in intelligence, and not on the same intellectual level as the regular 9-year-olds.
As Calvin Harris says, freedom is a lonely road. Dan, do you think that quote applies or not?
Freedom is a lonely road. I wouldn't say that it's a lonely road, but I would say that there are definitely in this world, there are definitely very smart people that just they like to be loners and sort of keep to themselves. And I think in this case, I think it's different because she's making relationships. I would say that would be true if she wasn't making relationships with the people in the group. Like, she brings them over on Saturday nights to have Godzilla marathons, because they run for about an hour and a half, so they can usually watch a few movies and have some popcorn, have some snacks at her house with her parents and stuff, and they watch the movie with her.
So freedom is not a lonely road when you are watching Godzilla with your friends.
Yeah, in that instance, yeah.
All right, let's move to our next topic. Thank you, Dan. That was awesome. Recently on the phone, I'm getting a call. Okay. Can't talk to you now, Mom.
What my writing did was adding people with mental health issues, that were struggling with mental health issues, that I had friends with. Like, I had a lot of mental health illness people friends with, that I put them in my short stories when they were really, not doing very well, and that lifted their spirits and helped them be stronger. and it was a lot of good things coming from that. So I like that. Well, that's something I didn't mention. That's unscripted. That Kathleen, Cassandra, Stormy, all these women that are dealing with such terrible disorders such as bipolar disorder, schizoaffective, and schizophrenia. When I gave them parts in my short stories, a short story for each single person per book per person, I think that that helped them. And one of the girls told me that you're helping people who are just hanging on, and these things are giving them hope and making them feel better. So now mentioning this, I kind of, my prayers are helping her. And like you said, well, I was probably wrong when I said God doesn't hear my prayers. It's just, you can't just fix a situation like that overnight. You can't ask too much of God, but he'll listen. And you just gotta continue to pray. And that's part of it. It's like, you don't just pray until the person is like, for example, even if had her two situations that she was stressed out with, if she had those and then they got solved, I would still pray for her, because I want her to be continuing good health and having a good life. And I just it was really nice talking to her. So thank you, Will, for letting me talk to her for a long time.
You're welcome, Dan. I would just comment that I think God always hears our prayers. He always listens and values our prayers. They're always valuable. They always have an effect. And especially when we believe that, and we pray with our intensity for whatever we're praying for. And if God knows when we are desperate and we really mean something. I would add that I've heard that when we pray for something, God has three possible responses: yes, no, and not yet. So I would say, like you've been saying, I think God has been answering our prayers recently, and things are getting better. We're moving in the right direction. I think that's what's important, even if on the outside things still look not that great.
Yeah, I think you're right. And like I said, I think God has given me some big breaks in my life. For example, when I started getting very sick with the bipolar, my dad found in the Metro that if a doctor filled out a document saying that you were disabled and could not work, which was the truth in my case, that I could get my college debt wiped out, where I wouldn't owe a thing. But it had a 3-month waiting period. 3 months they would check to see if I made any more money or if I was working, or they would check to make sure that if I think what happened was they do checks on you to see how you're doing. And I was struggling a lot during that period. And I think right away they didn't, I think they understood that I really was struggling, and I really did deserve this relief of my debt, college debt, because this is the worst I was ever doing. And in that sense, they got rid of my loans after 3 years, so I didn't own a penny. So I was lucky that happened. God did that for me. I know he did that for me, because that's something I didn't do myself. And my dad just happened to be looking at the Metro by chance, which was about I think about went out of business, that they didn't do them anymore. But that's where he got the information. And also, sad. Just that's one of the reasons I believe in God, because he didn't have to, somehow he didn't have to have those things happen to me. And for all the, when I think of the bad stuff that happens to me, I don't think God is doing that to me. I think it's just a test to see to help me. I think the bad stuff that happens to me is there to help me learn how to be. I'm usually pretty resilient when bad things happen, so that's good. And I think he's trying to prepare me for other problems that I might face, and other good things that will come too. So we were talking in the last interview about silent prayer, and I really like doing that, Will, and I always try and pray 4 times a day. I think the last few days I haven't prayed because I've had been busy so much that I haven't been able to focus. All I've been able to do is being overtired and just sleep, because obviously I've had to visit my sister Jane a lot in the hospital, and that's been mentally exhausting for me. So sometimes you just got to take care of yourself first. But I plan on praying tonight for Will, for Roman, and Jane, and my family, and everyone. It's just hard.
Tristan,
yeah,
and everybody, all of our listeners.
Yeah, to you guys too. Thanks for the afterthought, you might think.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah. Okay, what's next, Will? What do you want to talk about next?
Well, Dan,
that seemed unscripted.
That was an enthralling, unscripted roller coaster ride of interesting things, Dan. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough, Dan Curley, for this information, which brings me joy in my heart.
Thanks, but what do you think about my take on God, about saying that bad things happen to me, but I don't think that God's doing it to me. I think it's just a way of him helping me get better and learn how to I'm usually resilient, but learning how to become stronger. And I think for if you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days too. I think that just it goes for everyone. That sometimes people get the breaks, and I feel like I've gotten some serious breaks in my life, and I don't feel like anyone did that, but I think God did that and nobody else.
Yeah, Dan, I think that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. I've heard that God permits evil, but he doesn't like it. He doesn't want us to suffer, but he permits it for a greater good. And I think what you said about getting stronger and being resilient and having hope and seeing it in a positive light, like you were saying, I think that's great, Dan.
Yeah, and also I think if bad things didn't happen to you, there'd be no purpose of God. There'd be no reason for you to pray. And I think prayer is a big thing. And I'm not saying that you can't pray for when things are going good, but I'm saying that can help you in your help your faith, and really help you prayer can do a lot for you. And but I think the number one thing is I know that God is real, and that it definitely was him that did those huge things for me. So I'm always grateful for that. So it's hard.
Yeah, it's good to definitely, we have to give God thanks for all the blessings and good things that are happening and that have happened. We have to notice them when that happens.
Yeah.
All right, Dan. Well, we have more notes, but I think that's all we can do today because we're both really busy, and we're growing plants in the school of responsibilities.
Yeah.
What would you say, Dan?
I'd say we're two icons now with our great interviews,
Dan, what's it like to be famous?
It feels good, but initially I don't think of my writing as for people. I think it's for me to keep me together and to keep me. It seems like I'm always doing better with my mental health when I'm writing, or even when I'm not doing well with my mental health. That's when I tend to write the most, and some of the best stories come out of me when I'm struggling with the illness and stuff. So I think it's a good feeling, and it's good, like Paris said, that I like the way how your brain works. That was an extremely nice compliment that she didn't have to say. And she was even saying that I should be a screenwriter, because she said that so many of my books feel like, when you read it, feel like you're watching a movie, because I'm such a visual person that there's a lot of dialogue. And with my dialogue, I don't say, this character says this, and then the next thing and saying, I say this. I just do the conversation, the dialogue, so you can tell by the conversation who's talking. So that was always one of the weaknesses in my writing that I changed, where I added more dialogue in it, and I think that makes it better.
Thanks, Dan. Oh, shoot. I had something to say, but I forget it. What do I do?
Well, I don't know. You can mention that, change that, think of something else to say, and if you remember it, we can use it for the next interview.
Oh, thanks, Dan. That makes me feel better. I still forget it. It's on the tip of my mind, but oh well. Shoot, man. Well, thank you for listening, all you guys out there. You too.
You make us famous.
You guys are the reason we're famous.
And you are the real famous ones.
We couldn't do it without you. A tree falling in the woods doesn't make a sound if no one hears it.
I think that's true.
Receiving is even greater than giving, or receiving and giving are one.
Yeah, I think if I had one message I would give out to our listeners, is my message would be, just be kind to people, because everyone has their own battle that they're fighting. And also, like pointed out to me when I thought of that actress, is that she could be going through a personal issue, or she could be going on with depression, or it could be a lot of stuff that could be going on in her life. Nobody's life is perfect, so there's always going to be problems for everyone. Some you can't diminish everyone's problems and say your problems are worse, because that's just not the way to look at it. Being kind to other people and receiving kindness back is important in my eyes, in God's eyes, I would think.
Yeah, I would say thank you, Dan, for once again confirming everything that I said to be correct.
Yeah, anytime, brother.
We have 1 million more topics to cover, but we can't today. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next time. Until then, don't fade into darkness.
Don't fade in.
And we won't fade into darkness. The Will Wisdom Interviews has been fostering communities of dialogue, since 1983. Actually, 1982. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
See you next time, guys.